Hello, and welcome to an extra special vegan pregnancy and parenting video. I've got my baby girl here. Now she's currently attached to the boob, but I will turn her around when she's done and show you her super adorable face. She is just the cutest. Her name is Everest Rosemary Frank, and she was born on August 3rd at 11:40 p.m. 7 pounds, 10.5 ounces of just pure cuteness. And she and I are doing really well. We got home the very next day and have been, bonding, and she feeds like a champ, which really helps. So breastfeeding and not struggling with that has made it much easier. We just woke up from a little nap because sleep is extra special right now, and I'm looking a little bit haggard, but I'm a new mom, so that's to be expected. Anyway, I wanted to tell you guys about my birth story because I told you guys, what I was hoping for in my birth, and now I want to tell you what actually happened. Um, First of all, I went 1 week and 6 days past my due date. I went into labor one week and 5 days past, but she came very much towards the end of 1 day and 6 weeks, like almost a full 2 weeks if she had come at past midnight. Um, that was really, really tough on me. I know so many women go past their due date, and I had tried to mentally prepare myself for the possibility that that could happen to me. But once it does happen, um, it it is very taxing. You go 1 day and then 2 days and then 3 days and then 4 days, and then around 5 or 6 days past, you kind of start losing your mind. You're getting all these messages from people telling you to hang in there, and you're going to bed every night thinking, okay, this is the night I'm going to wake up and I'm going to be in labor. And you'll wake up the next day and you're like, no, I'm still pregnant. And, people are kind of living in limbo because, like, if you're expecting to invite anyone to your birth, like, they're like, okay, should I, my husband was like, should I be working? Should I be working from home? It was very, and he was going to work some days, and people were going, well, why are you here? She hasn't had the baby yet. What's going on? And you have to get a lot of checks on you and the baby as you go past your due date. So you're getting, like, I got 2 additional ultrasounds done, and they're checking you more for your blood pressure and to make sure that your placenta isn't calcifying and is still doing its job, and that the baby is okay. Like, it's overwhelming. And I was doing everything to try and start labor my naturally, like natural induction methods. I was going on long walks. I was getting acupressure and acupuncture done. I was eating dates and drinking red raspberry leaf tea, and having lots of very awkward sex with my husband. Just stimulating my nipples, putting on the breast pump because that's supposed to um, uh, stimulate the release of Oxycontin, which could get labor started. So I was doing everything, and I was really low about it. I was crying every day, kind of just going like, get out of me. I'm so ready to meet you. The funny thing is, like, I was having a breakdown basically every single day except the day I went into labor. The day I went into labor, I got up and I was like, whatever, you know what? I've done everything at this point. I'm just going to um, watch some movies. I watched a whole bunch of Disney movies. I watched a Goofy movie, and Hercules, and I forget one other. And around, there was a huge storm outside, and it was like a big one. And around 8 o'clock at night, I started getting some pretty significant stomach cramps. But they weren't really going away. Like they were just kind of constant. So I was like, okay, well, maybe I accidentally ate something that, is upsetting my stomach. And I made Colin look at the ingredients of the bagel I had for breakfast to make sure that it was fully vegan, because sometimes they'll change the ingredients up on me and I don't read them every time, even though I constantly am learning the lesson that I should. Um, and so that was fine. And then the cramps started spreading out and like becoming and going, and they were more intense and they were more like real. Like it was like, they say, um, you know, when you go into labor, like it's very true. And it might not be for everyone, but it definitely was for me. Like I knew I was in labor. So I tried to take some Gravol and get some sleep because I knew that I could possibly have a long haul ahead. That did not work. I did not fall asleep. So I was up, all night in in early labor. I was having lots of showers, lots of baths, um, sitting on my birthing ball, um, just kind of like making low register noises through the surges. And they very quickly went from 10 hours to about 4 minutes apart. So, or like 4 to 5 minutes apart. So like in the span of 8 hours, I'd say, they went from 10 to 15 minutes apart to almost like clockwork, 4 or 5 minutes apart, and quite intense. So at that point, my husband called my midwife, and she came to our house and she checked me, and I was fully effaced, which means my cervix was completely softened, but I was just 2 centimeters dilated. But she said, it's probably best that we go to the birth center now and you can get settled there because you're not going to want to be in the car it further along in this process. So we got dressed. We went to the birth center. It was 5 in the morning, so it was very quickly to get there. And I started vomiting very profusely, large quantities of vomit, which actually kind of felt good, like in a weird way. It felt great to just like purge a bit. Um, and labor got quite intense. I was feeling it almost entirely in my back. Here, right here. Um, so even though she was in the right position, because they often say you go into back labor because her back is to your back, but she was in the right position, and I was still having really strong surges in my back rather than in my pelvic area. Open up, nice and big. There we go. So that made that extra tough. Um, anyway, I was, the surges were hard, but when they went away, they went away. And I was pretty much in good spirits. Oh, did you guys hear that? She did a big poo. I was cracking jokes. I was, I was talking. I was fine, and um, it was really kind of a fun time. Um, what what made it okay was that I was progressing. So they checked me every 4 hours, and I was progressing and I was progressing, but then I stopped progressing. And for about 5 hours, I stayed at 6 centimeters. and I was doing everything. I was walking up and down stairs. They started stimulating my nipples again to try and make my surges stronger. And at that point, my stomach was empty, but I still needed to throw up. So I was dry heaving, and it was pretty intense, like between the back labor, the lack of progression, the dry heaving, but I was still like, I was making jokes like all the time. Like my spirits stayed relatively high. Like I had moments where I cried and I said like, "Oh my god, I can't do this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. This is really hard. This sucks." And my husband would go, "Oh, I know, my love." And I'd go, "You don't know. I'm going to kick you in the balls 13 million times and you still wouldn't know. Like, does that sound like a plan to you?" And he was like, I guess so. and, and I said, "Oh, this is it. I'm never having another kid. This is the last time I'm doing this." And, it was not glamorous at all. I was like, when I was doing my stairs, I was wearing like a giant adult diaper because I had no control over my bladder. So my husband's having to change my diaper and I'm dry heaving and I'm like, oh, it was just like, I'm sure he'll block it from his memory and be ready to get it on sooner rather than later, probably before I'm ready. But it's not a sexy experience, or it wasn't for me at least. Um, anyway, after, being in after 5 hours of doing all of this, um, without any progression, my midwife kind of said to me, and they had already broken my waters at this point to try and get my surges to come stronger. She said, at this point, even, if you do start progressing and you get to 10 centimeters, I had been in labor for almost, for 20 hours at that point, and I hadn't slept, and she said, by the time you do progress to 10 centimeters, which is looking like it's going to take a chunk of time, you might not have the energy to push this baby out, and you really need to sleep. And I agreed. I needed to sleep, and I was frustrated with the lack of progression, and the surges were extremely intense, and I needed to just have a break. So we decided to transfer me to a hospital. It was an emergency, so my husband drove me, and it was a pretty humorous drive. And I got the epidural, and I passed out. I slept actually only for an hour and a half, but it was the best hour and a half. I needed it. And I woke up and felt lots of pressure, not pain, because, you're basically numb, but, oh, you're making noises? What do you think? You want to go back on or no? Oh, yeah, you do. Oh, yeah, you do. Um, Pressure, but not pain for sure. And so I woke up and they checked me and I was fully dilated. And so at that point, it was way too early to push, But when you do get a surge happen and you still feel them happening, you feel this kind of like uncontrollable urge to just kind of make this like low kind of grunting noise, like like a, like almost like you're taking a really big poo. And so I was doing that without being instructed. It just kind of happens. Your body just knows what to do. And so I did that for about, to be honest, I don't know how long, but at least a few hours. And then she was low enough that I could push a bit. So I pushed for an hour and 10 minutes, but honestly, it felt like 5. And she came out just perfect. I had no tears. It was just the most magical moment. And instantly, the whole experience became the best experience in my life. And um, I can honestly say I'm already excited for the idea of doing it again. Um, it was, I just felt so empowered by it. Um, and she came out with her hand first, like a little superhero, like, and it was just she was handed to me, and it was just the cutest thing. Yeah, you're just the cutest. Yeah, oh, don't get upset. We're about to introduce you to everyone. Hey, hey, hey. Yeah. And she latched on perfectly. And we had our first little session of breastfeeding right there, right first few moments of her life. And it was wonderful. And the midwives, like, I just wish more people understood how amazing midwives are. Like, the fact that they came to my home in my early labor, they came to my home when I was overdue and did a stretch and sweep where they try to stimulate the cervix to get the production of prostaglandins going, which can get labor going. Um, they were so incredibly supportive. They never really left, and I always felt like they were right there with me because they were. Um, and then, you know, now that we've come home, they come to the house every other day to check up on us. They call us when they don't come to check up on us. And I can call them at any time, and they will call back if I have any questions. She had a bit of acid reflux, and I was like freaking out. I was like, "Oh my God, something's wrong with my colostrum." And they said, "No, babies can get acid reflux. Like, you're fine." It just, you feel so incredibly supported, and I just think everyone should get a midwife. And I also think everyone should get a lactation consultant, even if you feel like feeding is going really well, because with her, she was latching perfectly and everything was going so well. I still benefited from having my lactation consultant come, and she gave us some new positions to do. She taught me how to optimize each feed so that she wasn't just getting the watery fore milk, she was getting the good fatty hind milk. It just made all the difference. She taught me how to avoid getting blocked ducts, and it just was so helpful. And so I think everyone should have a midwife, and everyone should have a lactation consultant. And yeah, so that's the story of the birth of my vegan baby. And now, if she cooperates, I'll turn her around so you guys can all see her because she's just the cutest. You are. I know you want more boob. You want more boob, don't you? Oh, here she is. Here she is. Oh, say hello, Everest Rosemary. Oh, she says, "How dare you take me away from the boob?" She loves to feed. We're up a lot of the night feeding. Can you see? Can everyone see you? She's so cute. Oh, 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 hello. Say hello. Here, say hello. Yeah, yeah. I just told everyone how you came into the world. Like a little superhero. Yeah. She's like, "I don't care. I just want more nipple." I love you. I love you so much. Oh, yeah, we're gonna have so much fun. She's like, "Okay, what do you want me to do?" A little cross-eyed. So there she is, and there we are. And that's the story of my birth. And, it didn't go exactly as I had hoped or planned, but I in no way have any negative feelings about it. I think the most important thing about going into, um, here, she shouldn't let me get her back on the boob because she'll get upset. Oh yes. Oh, okay, come back here. I think the most important thing about going into the experience was that I had hopes. Oh, bless you. But I didn't have plans, because you can't plan birth. Um, you certainly can have hopes for it, and I hoped for a natural birth without any medical interventions, and I didn't get that hope, but I still got a magical experience that I honestly wouldn't change for the world. And I'm genuinely excited to do it again because I know now what to expect, and I think I'm gonna do even better the second time around. Um, and I just think you should go into it really calm. And that's the best advice I have is like be calm and have a sense of humor. Um, and, just take whatever turn it takes, don't try and force it to be what you want it to be because you'll just fight the process. Try and just accept that it's just out of your control and just kind of go for the ride. And I also really recommend, especially if you're not at a hospital, because at hospitals they won't let you have food. But if you birth at home or at a birthing center, I also recommend having a lot of different options in terms of sustenance. Like I had frozen grapes, which were amazing to be fed when you're in labor. Frozen grapes, they were like little power puffs. Um, coconut water, veggie broth. The veggie broth really helped kind of wake me up and make me feel a little bit more awake and keep me hydrated, because especially with me throwing up so much, just drink tons of water, um, and just yeah, enjoy the experience because it is enjoyable. And I really honestly, like, I wasn't in pain. It was just so intense. And the intensity could really at times suck, let me tell you. Like, it's called labor for a reason. Um, but, but now I look back on it and I would just do it in a millisecond again an, to have this little girl in my arms. Yeah, you silly goose. So I'll see you guys again soon. I'll be posting more videos as she grows up and as I grow as a mom. And I look forward to sharing. I look forward to sharing her growing up with all of you. Have a great day, and I'll see you soon.